When we are in the middle of life's journey, things rarely make sense. We strive to understand where we are going, but often, all we see is confusion, setbacks, and uncertainty. It's easy to believe that if we don't have the full picture, we must be lost. But the truth is, we can't always see how the dots connect in the moment. Only when we look back do we realize that every moment, every triumph, every failure, every unexpected turn was leading us somewhere meaningful. Steve Jobs once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward." That's because life doesn't give us a perfectly drawn map. Instead, it gives us dots, events, decisions, opportunities, challenges. In isolation, these moments can feel random, disconnected, even unfair. But over time, as we continue forward with faith, we start to see how those dots form a picture, a pattern that was always there, waiting for us to step into it. Think about moments in your past where you faced something that didn't make sense at the time. Maybe it was a job that fell through, a relationship that didn't work out, a plan that collapsed. In the moment, it felt like failure, like something was being taken away from you. But later, maybe months or even years down the road, you realized that if that door hadn't closed, you wouldn't have found something better. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. What seemed like a setback was actually a setup for something greater. This principle is woven into everything. Take the story of someone who didn't get into their dream college, but ended up at a different school where they met the person who would change their life. Or the entrepreneur who lost everything, only to discover a new path they never would have considered. The dots don't connect in the moment because we are too close to them. It's only when we step back and look at the bigger picture that we realize there was a design all along. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with this concept is because we want certainty. We want to know where we are going before we take the first step. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith is moving forward even when you don't see the whole staircase. It's trusting that the lessons, the challenges, and the unexpected twists are not distractions but part of the process. Imagine you're holding a single puzzle piece. You examine it, trying to understand what it is. It has strange colors, maybe a little bit of blue, some rough edges. You might think it's insignificant, that it doesn't belong anywhere. But when you place it into the larger puzzle, suddenly it makes sense. The blue was part of the sky. The rough edge fit perfectly with another piece. That's how life works. The moments that feel out of place right now will eventually fit into the greater picture. Some of the most successful and impactful people in the world didn't start out knowing where they were going. They followed what felt right, even when it wasn't clear how it would all work out. Steve Jobs took a calligraphy class that seemed useless at the time, but years later, it influenced the typography and design of the Macintosh. If he had ignored that moment because it didn't fit a logical plan, Apple's design philosophy might have been completely different. This is why it's so important to trust the process. You may not have all the answers now, but you don't need to. What you need is the courage to keep moving, the faith to believe that where you are now is part of a greater journey. The experiences, the skills, the people you meet, they are all pieces of a story that is unfolding exactly as it should. Looking back, you'll see how every struggle built your resilience, how every failure redirected you to something better, how every moment of doubt was actually shaping your character. But right now, in this moment, your job is to keep going. Keep collecting the dots, keep learning, keep trusting. One day, you'll look back and realize they all connected in ways you never could have imagined. There is something inside you that is different from everyone else. A unique combination of passions, talents, and instincts that make you who you are. Too often, people ignore this inner calling because they are conditioned to follow a path that seems safer, more acceptable, or more predictable. But the truth is, what excites you, what moves you, what makes you feel alive, those are not coincidences. They are clues. They are God's way of showing you what you were meant to pursue. From a young age, people are taught to fit into a system. Get good grades, go to college, find a stable job, follow the expectations laid out by society. There's nothing inherently wrong with structure, but when it suppresses the very things that make you come alive, it becomes a cage. The people who change the world, the people who live with deep fulfillment, are the ones who refuse to ignore what sets their soul on fire. They listen to the voice inside them that says, "This is what you were made for." Many people spend their lives searching for purpose, hoping that one day they will wake up with complete clarity about what they are supposed to do. But the truth is, purpose is not something you find. It's something you uncover by paying attention to what already exists inside you. Think about the moments when you feel most engaged, when time seems to disappear, when you are completely in the zone. That's not random. That's a signal. God doesn't create people without intention. He places specific desires within each person, not to frustrate them but to guide them. Yet so many ignore these desires because they don't fit into what the world considers practical or reasonable. A person may feel called to create, but they suppress it because art doesn't seem like a stable career. Someone else may have a deep love for helping people, but they choose a different path because it seems more financially rewarding. Every time a person turns away from what they truly love, they step further from who they were meant to be. Following what sets your soul on fire does not mean the path will be easy. In fact, it will likely be more difficult because anything worth doing requires effort, resilience, and faith. But the difference is, when you are aligned with what you are meant to do, the struggles feel meaningful. The obstacles become part of the journey rather than reasons to quit. Passion fuels perseverance, and perseverance leads to greatness. There are countless stories of people who started in one place but ended up somewhere entirely different because they followed the spark inside them. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first job as a television reporter, told she wasn't fit for TV. Instead of accepting that judgment, she pursued what she loved: connecting with people on a deeper level. Walt Disney was once told he lacked creativity, but he refused to let that define him. These people didn't let external voices drown out their internal calling. They stayed true to what moved them, and in doing so, they discovered their purpose. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting for permission. They wait for someone to tell them it's okay to follow their dreams, that their passion is valid, that they are good enough. But waiting for validation will only delay what you are meant to do. No one else can see the vision placed inside you as clearly as you can. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. The challenge is to trust it even when it doesn't make sense to others. To take action even when there is no guarantee of success. To believe that if God placed something in your heart, He will also make a way for it to come to life. It won't always be obvious, and the journey may not be straightforward, but that fire inside you is there for a reason. It is your responsibility to nurture it, to protect it, to follow it with everything you have. Because when you do, not only do you find fulfillment, but you also inspire others to do the same. Passion is contagious. When one person fully steps into their calling, they give others permission to do the same. Imagine a world where more people live this way, where people didn't suppress their creativity, their ideas, their dreams out of fear or practicality. A world where more people trusted that what excites them is not an accident but an assignment. The impact would be immeasurable. Because the people who are most alive, most engaged, most fulfilled, those are the people who make the biggest difference. Not by following a script. Struggles are often seen as by daring to things that stand in the way of where we want to go. People pray for an easy path, for success without difficulty, for progress without resistance. But the truth is, struggle is not the enemy. It is the process through which strength is built, through which purpose is refined, through which character is shaped. Every great story, every person who has achieved something meaningful, has faced challenges that could have broken them. The difference is they didn't run from the struggle. They embraced it, learned from it, and allowed it to shape them into who they were meant to be. There is a tendency to believe that struggle means something is wrong. That if things are difficult, if doors are closing, if plans aren't working out, it must mean that you're on the wrong path. But what if struggle isn't a sign to stop, but a sign to grow? What if the very challenges you are facing right now are not there to defeat you, but to prepare you? A seed must push through the dirt before it becomes a tree. Gold must go through fire before it is refined. Every challenge, every obstacle is shaping you in ways you cannot yet see. Think about the moments in life where you have grown the most. Were they times of ease, or were they times of difficulty? Growth rarely happens in comfort. It happens when you are stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. It happens when you are tested, when you are forced to dig deeper, when you have to rely on something greater than yourself to keep going. Without struggle, there is no strength. Without challenges, there is no resilience. The most powerful lessons are learned not in the moments when everything is going right, but in the moments when you are forced to adapt, to fight, to rise again. There are people who let struggle define them in the wrong way. They face failure and decide that means they are not capable. They experience rejection and believe that means they are not worthy. They hit obstacles and assume that means they should give up. But struggle does not mean stop. It means push forward with even greater determination. It means look for the lesson, the opportunity, the way to grow. Every person who has ever achieved something great has faced moments where quitting seemed like the easier option. But they didn't quit. They embraced the struggle and let it forge them into something stronger. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of struggle. It's how they respond to it. Some people let difficulties break them. Others let difficulties make them. The choice is always there. Will you let struggle be an excuse, or will you let it be fuel? Will you allow challenges to hold you back, or will you use them as stepping stones to rise higher? The greatest stories are not the ones where everything goes perfectly. They are the ones where the hero faces adversity, keeps moving forward, and emerges stronger on the other side. God does not waste struggles. Every difficulty you face has the potential to shape you in ways you cannot yet see. You may not understand why certain things are happening right now, but that doesn't mean there isn't a purpose behind them. Often it is only when you look back that you realize the hardest moments were the ones that built you, the heartbreak that made you wiser, the failure that redirected you to something better, the challenge that forced you to grow in ways you never would have otherwise. Too many people want to skip the process. They want the reward without the effort, the victory without the battle, the success without the struggle. But that's not how life works. The process is what makes you ready. The struggle is what makes you capable. Without it, even if you were handed everything you wanted, you wouldn't be able to handle it. The struggles you are facing today are strengthening you for what is coming tomorrow. They are equipping you for the next level, preparing you for the greater things ahead. The question is not whether you will face struggle. The question is how you will respond to it. Will you see it as an obstacle or as an opportunity? Will you run from it, or will you embrace it? The choice is yours. But one thing is certain: if you let struggle do its work, if you lean into it instead of away from it, if you choose to grow rather than retreat, you will come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the purpose you were meant to fulfill. People spend their lives searching for purpose, hoping that one day they will wake up with absolute clarity about what they are meant to do. But purpose is not a destination that suddenly appears. It is something that is uncovered over time, something that is built through experiences, choices, and challenges. The mistake many people make is believing that purpose is simply about what they do. They think it is a job, a title, a specific role in life. But purpose is not just about doing, it is about becoming. Who you are becoming is far more important than any single achievement or career path. There are people who achieve great things by the world's standards but still feel empty because they never became the person they were meant to be. There are others who may not have wealth or fame but walk in deep fulfillment because they are aligned with their true selves, because they have spent their lives growing into the person God created them to be. The difference is not in what they have done, but in who they have become. Becoming who you are meant to be is a process, and it is often uncomfortable. It requires growth, and growth is not easy. It means facing challenges that stretch you, making decisions that push you out of your comfort zone, and being willing to change. It requires you to let go of the false identities you have built, the expectations placed on you by others, and the fear of not being enough. It demands that you stop trying to fit into someone else's version of success and start embracing the unique path set before you. Many people never become who they were meant to be because they are too focused on external validation. They chase careers, achievements, and approval, believing that these things will give them a sense of purpose. But no amount of success will make up for being out of alignment with who you truly are. There are countless stories of people who reached the top of their field only to realize they still felt lost. The problem wasn't that they didn't work hard enough. The problem was that they spent their lives chasing something that was never truly theirs. True purpose comes when you focus on growth, on character, on becoming. When you dedicate yourself to being someone of integrity, of courage, of kindness. When you commit to learning, evolving, and stepping into your full potential. The greatest impact you will make is not in what you achieve, but in the kind of person you are. Titles can be taken away, jobs can change, circumstances can shift, but who you are, that is what lasts. There will be times when you feel lost, when you wonder if you are on the right path. In those moments, the question to ask is not just what you are doing, but who you are becoming in the process. Are you growing? Are you developing wisdom, resilience, and strength? Are you learning to trust, to love, to serve? If the answer is yes, then you are exactly where you need to be. Even if the job isn't perfect, even if the circumstances are not ideal, if you are becoming more of who you are meant to be, then you are on the right track. Purpose is revealed in the process of becoming. It is not something that appears overnight, nor is it something you need to have fully figured out before you take action. It is built one decision at a time, one experience at a time, one lesson at a time. Every challenge you face is shaping you. Every obstacle is refining you. Every success and failure is contributing to your growth. The goal is not to have all the answers, but to keep moving forward with faith, knowing that as you grow, your purpose will become clearer. One of the most freeing realizations is that purpose is not limited to a single job or role. People change careers, seasons of life shift, and circumstances evolve. But that does not mean they lose their purpose. Because purpose is not just about what you do. It is about how you show up, how you lead, how you serve, how you impact others. It is about becoming the person you were always meant to be, no matter where life takes you. The mistake is believing that purpose is something to be found rather than something to be lived. It is not in the distant future. It is in the way you approach today. It is in the choices you make, the growth you embrace, the way you treat others, and the way you commit to becoming more of who you are meant to be. No title, no position, no amount of success will ever replace that. Because in the end, what matters most is not just what you have done, but who you have become along the way. Fear is one of the greatest barriers standing between people and the life they are meant to live. It disguises itself in many forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. It whispers that you are not good enough, that you are not ready, that you are not capable. Fear convinces people to stay where it is safe, where the risks are low, where they never have to step into the unknown. But playing it safe has a cost. It robs people of their potential, keeps them from discovering what they are truly capable of, and limits the impact they were meant to have. Every person who has done something meaningful has had to face fear. It is not something that goes away completely. The difference between those who step into their purpose and those who don't is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward in spite of it. Courage is not the elimination of fear. It is acting even when fear is present. It is choosing to trust that what is ahead is greater than what is comfortable. It is believing that what God has placed inside of you is stronger than the doubts that try to hold you back. Fear often shows up the most when you are on the edge of something significant. Right before a breakthrough, right before stepping into something new, fear will try to convince you to turn back. It will bring up past failures, remind you of every reason why things might not work, and make the worst-case scenario seem like the only possible outcome. But fear is a liar. It is not based on truth. It is based on speculation, on assumptions, on imagined obstacles that have not even happened yet. The reality is, most of the things people fear never actually come to pass, and even when they do, they are rarely as bad as the mind made them out to be. The only way to overcome fear is to act. Fear loses its power when you refuse to be paralyzed by it. The first step is always the hardest because it goes against the instinct to stay safe. But once you move, momentum builds. The more you step forward, the quieter fear becomes. Confidence is not something you wait for, it is something you develop through action. The more you prove to yourself that you can handle challenges, the less fear will have control over you. Many people look at those who have achieved great things and assume they were fearless. But that is never the case. They had doubts. They had moments where they questioned themselves. They had nights where they wondered if they were making a mistake. The difference is they did not let those feelings dictate their decisions. They moved forward anyway. They understood that regret is far worse than failure, that living a life of fear means never truly living at all. Faith is the antidote to fear. When you trust that you are being guided, when you believe that there is a purpose for your life, fear loses its grip. Fear thrives in uncertainty, in the unknown, but faith sees beyond that. Faith says that even if you don't know how everything will work out, you will move forward anyway. Faith says that even if you fall, you will get back up. Faith says that there is something greater ahead, something worth pursuing, something worth risking comfort for. One of the most tragic things is to see people with extraordinary potential held back by fear. To see talent, ideas, and dreams go unrealized because someone was too afraid to take the first step. The world has been changed by those who refuse to let fear control them. Every great invention, every powerful movement, every inspiring leader had to push past fear to make an impact. The same is true for anyone who wants to live a life of significance. It is not about having all the answers or waiting until you feel completely ready. It is about choosing to move forward despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite the possibility of failure. Fear will always try to stop you. It will try to keep you small, keep you silent, keep you from stepping into the fullness of your potential. But you have a choice. You can let fear define you, or you can decide that you will no longer be ruled by it. You can stay where it is comfortable, or you can take the leap and trust that you were made for more. The life you are meant to live is on the other side of fear. The question is whether you will have the courage to go after it. Legacy is not just what you leave behind when you are gone. It is what you build every single day through your choices, your actions, and the way you impact the lives of others. Too many people think of legacy as something distant, something that only matters at the end of life. But the truth is, Legacy is being created in the present moment. It is not just about wealth, achievements, or recognition. It is about the influence you have, the lives you touch, and the mark you leave on the world, no matter how big or small. Some people spend their lives chasing success but never stop to ask if what they are building actually matters. They accumulate money, status, and power but leave no real impact because their focus was on themselves rather than something greater. Success without significance is empty. True legacy is not measured by personal accomplishments alone, but by how much you have given, how much you have helped others grow, and how much you have lifted people higher. The most enduring legacies are built not through personal gain, but through service, through generosity, through pouring into others. Every person has the ability to leave a legacy, no matter their position, title, or resources. It is in the small moments, how you treat people, how you encourage those around you, how you show up when no one is watching. It is in the lessons you pass down, the values you instill, and the example you set. Legacy is not about waiting until you have accomplished everything you want. It is about living with intention now, making every decision with the understanding that it is shaping the impact you will leave behind. The mistake many people make is believing that they need to be famous or highly influential to create a legacy. But some of the most powerful legacies are left by those who never sought recognition, who simply lived with purpose, who made a difference in the lives of those around them. A teacher who inspires students to believe in themselves, a mentor who helps someone discover their potential, a parent who instills wisdom and love. These are the kinds of legacies that last for generations. It is not about how many people know your name, it is about how many lives you have touched. One of the most powerful ways to build a meaningful legacy is to live with authenticity and integrity. When people look back on your life, they will not just remember what you did, they will remember who you were. You were kind. Did you stand for something greater than yourself? Did you live with honesty, courage, and faith? A strong legacy is built on a foundation of character. The way you live today determines how you will be remembered tomorrow. Every interaction, every choice, every moment is shaping the story that will be told about you when you are gone. Living with legacy in mind requires a shift in perspective. Instead of just thinking about what you can gain, it becomes about what you can give. Instead of focusing only on short-term success, it becomes about long-term impact. Instead of making decisions based on immediate gratification, it becomes about what will matter years from now. This kind of thinking changes everything. It makes you more intentional with your time, more thoughtful with your words, more purposeful in your actions. It pushes you to strive for something beyond personal achievement, to build something that lasts, something that continues even when you are no longer here. The truth is, everyone will leave a legacy, whether they intend to or not. The question is not whether you will leave one, but what kind of legacy it will be. Will it be one of purpose, of impact, of contribution? Or will it be one of regret, of opportunities missed, of a life spent chasing things that did not truly matter? The choice is made in the everyday moments. It is in the way you show up, the way you serve, the way you inspire. It is in the courage to follow your calling, to step into your purpose, to live fully and completely with no holding back. You do not have to wait until later to start building your legacy. It begins now. It begins with how you live today, with the decisions you make, with the way you pour into others. It is not about waiting until you have everything figured out. It is about choosing to make an impact wherever you are with whatever you have. Because in the end, legacy is not about what you take with you, it is about what you leave behind in the hearts and lives of others. It is about making the most of the time you have, using your gifts to serve, and living in a way that echoes far beyond your own life.